hit a button. Anyway, he's out there yelling at me to wake up. And so I said, hey, you okay? And he said, yeah. Yelled back, yeah. And I had to figure out a way to draw that guy away from him because I figured, this guy's got to be this. I mean, who gets out, who takes a hitchhiker and then chases him down? I said, this guy's got to be that freaking serial killer. Now, how do you prove it? I don't know, man. They didn't have pictures of him. They didn't know who he was. I mean, it wasn't like they had pictures of him. So anyway, I looked down, seen the car keys, and I said, oh, man, I got this car all to myself. It's just me. I can take off in this car anytime I want. I was yelling it through this window. He goes, no, wait a second. I'll be right there. And so he come back to the car, and that guy walked on. I thought, okay. So he's, the guy's out there. I don't know what happened. The guy that was sitting next to me, he let him out earlier or something. So anyway, the guy gets in the car, and he takes off down. He goes, you want to get in the front seat? I said, no, I think I'll stay back here because I was pretty sure that guy was a serial killer. I didn't want him having like a knife in his hand and he just has to, hold the wheel and he cuts your throat, Anyway. So he took me to Mobile and he took me in this freaking, it was like a Waffle House or something. He said, here, let me buy you something to eat or drink. I said, no, man, I'm cool. I got like a liter of water. And I got some Pop-Tarts. I'm good. I didn't want to owe this guy nothing. And so he goes, well, I got to go to the restroom. I said, hey, go ahead. I'll sit here. As soon as he freaking got up and left and disappeared, man, I was out that freaking door. And I went to the first set of woods, some cover to get away from that guy. Because I thought, man, this guy is freaking, he's got to be, how do you prove it, though? He can say all day that he's not a serial killer. So anyway, there was a dumpster out back, and I was like, boom, I'm behind that thing. So anyway, you know what? This is the only place in the whole freaking area that has trees around it. I said, you know what? First place he's going to look around, see if I'm out in the open, and then he's going to look over there. I don't know if the serial killers can read minds or what it is. I think they got some psychic ability that allows them to find their victims, and they prove it to their victims, which makes their victims fear them as far as escaping, because they say, hey, if you escape, I can find you, and they prove it to them in many ways. Now, I've seen enough stuff where I believe that theory, so I think that's what makes kidnapping victims not want to try to escape. That, and they said, well, I know where your family lives, I can hunt them down, I kill them, whatever. So I was out there behind this dumpster, and I thought, I better get away from here because he's going to come over here. So there was some trees, and it was dark enough. I went into these trees, and as soon as I got in them trees and got settled, I heard my name being called. And because I told him my name, he goes, hey. And I ain't going, that's the end of it. I ain't taking no more ride from that guy. I had some relatives in Mobile that I was going to visit. And so that's all. And then he took off, and I didn't see anything from him. And then I forgot all about it. It might have been the bag that I got from Bin Laden. In fact, I forgot all about Bin Laden until I got back to Indianola, and these guys I hung around with. I said, hey, man, you ever heard of a Bin Laden or something like that? He said, and then they said, Bin Laden? I said, yeah. I said, yeah, he's a terrorist. I said, man, I just met this guy down in Florida. I said, what'd they let a terrorist in this freaking country for? I said, he was saying something about how, he was a hero and everything. I said, why'd they let him into this freaking country if he's a terrorist? Well, this is 81 or so. I can't remember what year it was. But anyway, he said, he's a terrorist. And I was like, wow, well, anyway, it goes on, and I had forgotten about him. Let's see. Then who after that did I meet? Oh, another thing back in probably the 70s. There was this church camp I used to have to go to. My parents got rid of me and my brother for like, I don't know, it was 2 weeks or something like that during the summer. They'd throw us at this church camp. and it was down by a college down in southern Iowa, down by Graceland College, somewhere around there. It had a affiliation with, I don't know what it, I don't know, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Anyway, they used to have all these projects and stuff. You know, there'd be a place here like where they did canoeing. That's about the only thing I like doing out there. And they had this big giant A-frame open area. It was like A-frame with open ends, no gables on them or nothing. It was just almost down to the side. The roof was almost down on the ground. It was a big giant roof. And I always wanted to climb it, but I thought I'd get yelled at for climbing up on the shingles, you know. Anyway, I used to like that freaking A-frame and the canoeing. So anyway, I'm down there once and I'm walking. For some reason, I'm just walking alone, and it said rifle contest or rifle lessons or shooting lessons or something like that. And his little arrow point down this path. It was going down this hill. Okay, I walked down this hill, and there's this guy down there, and he's kind of short and stocky. And I can't remember. He had glasses on, I'm pretty sure. But he looked like the cross between Frazier, you know, the guy that had the, I don't remember his movie star name, but Frazier and George Costanza. Because he'd look like one way. He'd look like over his glasses one way. And then, I don't know if he is profile or, but anyway, he'd tilt his head. He'd look like Costanza one way and Frazier the other way. And I told him, I said, hey man, you tilt your head different. You look like this guy and that guy. And this is back in this is before they were even movie stars. But I did see that used to race motorcycles, and this guy Frazier came to this motorcycle track down by they call it Bussey, Iowa, but it was like a Wilcox Park where they used to race. We used to race under it was a motocross track, race under lights at night on Friday nights. Well, he came down there with a bunch of those people that were in his cast. And this was back in like, I don't know, 81 before. So they were hanging out before. I don't know, I was out there skipping rocks at the pond in between races. And he come out there and he seen me skipping rocks. And I can't remember if he said something. I think he just looked at me. And I was skipping rocks across this pond. And he picked up a big stone, like, you know, it was maybe the size of a football, but it was a stone. And he threw it. He just like trying to make a big splash, not thinking it through. And he threw it in the water, and he just splashed all over his legs. And I laughed at him because I was like, okay. I don't know if I walked over and talked to him or what, but I thought it was kind of funny that I don't know what he was trying to make a point. I was just skipping rocks, or he said, or if I shouldn't be throwing stones, there was a bunch of stuff back in the 60s where, you should leave everything where it's at, man. You shouldn't pick up a rock because you're taking that rock out of its environment and taking it someplace else. So anyway, what was I? Oh, anyway, the BTK. This guy goes, I'm alone with him down here on this trail. He's got a rifle. He's got a high-powered rifle with a scope on. He's got it laid out. And he's sitting down, and I don't know if he asked me my name, and he wrote it down in a book or something like that. He goes, you got I don't know if he said you got a quote or anything. He goes, well, I like to write down what people say or what I think about them. I said, let me tell you what to write down. He said, no, I write down what I want. I said, here, let me say make something up and you write it down. Yeah, I don't know if he wrote it down. He was writing something down. I think he wrote my name down, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, he goes, it ended up he had a pistol. And he was kind of pointing at me. I said, hey, man, you don't need to point that pistol. He said, okay. He goes, I'm going to show you. I goes, I'm down here. You're going to show me how to shoot or what? And he goes, let me ask you something. You ever heard of BTK? I said, what? Is that bacon, tomato, ketchup? Only it's spelled with a K? He said, no. And he and he says it doesn't mean Brad the King either. Well, I don't know what he meant by Brad the King, unless he had met some other Brad that claimed he was the king. Anyway, I'm not going to get into names here. But he goes, no, he goes, bind, torture, kill. And I was like, what? Yeah, bind, torture. I said, bind, torture, kill. I said, he goes, does that mean anything to you? I said, no. Anyway, we started talking. This is, man, 45 years ago. And we was talking, and he was, I mean, I told him he kind of looked like those two people, and he said, I said, yeah, they're like movie stars and stuff. He goes, and then they weren't movie stars yet, but they became that. Anyway. Then he showed me how to shoot, but he goes, here. He gave me I think he put a round in the rifle, might have. And then there was this ravine, like how water washes hills, ravines. Well, anyway, there was a hill on the other side. It was just a ravine, and we wasn't shooting that far away, but it was a small target, and he had a piece of plate iron laid out that the target we were supposed to shoot at, well, he wanted me to shoot at, and he was aligning this plate, and he was looking at me, and I don't know if he said it before he ran over. He said, or he came back, he said, I'm going to try to kill you by having that ricochet off there when you shoot. And I was like, I don't think you have that much accuracy in your aiming a steel plate. Anyway, he ducked down. He goes, okay, he showed me how to aim and all this stuff. He showed me all this stuff with a rifle. He goes, okay, now shoot that target. And he ducked down behind some, I don't know if he had sandbags there or what it was. But I aimed at the target and shot the target. And he looked up in surprise. And I was like, he actually thought he was going to ricochet it or something. And I hit the target, and he ran across the ravine. And he goes, it went through. And I was like, well, okay, it's a piece of metal and it's a bullet. Yeah, it's going to go through. Because I was a kid, of course, it wasn't like, I don't know, tungsten steel. I don't know what size around he was using. It might have been 270 or something. I don't know. It was too long ago. He goes, I don't know if he gave me like 3 shots. And then later on, there was some guy that came walking down with an entourage of women and stuff. He goes, this is my boy. And I go, is that your kid? And he goes, no, my boy is like the person I want. Anyway, me and him had a shoot off, and I don't know, he won or something like that. He goes, oh, you can leave or whatever it was. So anyway, I walked up this trail, and there's a bunch of people gathered around. There's a cop car up there. And I walked up to some of the people up there, and I said, man, you ever heard of you ever heard of BTK? He goes, no. I goes, bind, torture, kill. I goes, there's a guy down here, freaking talking some weird stuff about bind, torture, kill. And then, anyway, he comes up the trail, and I'm sitting there talking to this guy about him. And he looks at me like, I don't know, I can't remember what this look was, but it was like he just kind of walked off, disappeared. And years later, he ended up being the bind, torture, BTK killer. So, met him. Then let's see, who else? Man, that's all I can think of right now. I know there's some others. I can't remember who they were. Oh, freaking Jeffrey Dahmer. Me and my cousin were skiing up in, I don't know if it was Wisconsin, or I think we were in Minnesota or something like that. It might have been Wisconsin. By Superior. Our two families used to do stuff together because my mom and his mom were sisters, so they had a bunch of sisters, so they always did stuff. We always did big family groups on both sides. Anyway, we was up there skiing, and me and my cousin was going into this bar because Daisy Dillman Band. I goes, oh man, freaking Daisy Dillman Band's still around. He goes, who? It was Daisy Dillman, man. I was back. Don't you remember that? This was in 79, 80, still around that area. And I goes, Daisy Dillman, man. You ain't never heard of Daisy Dillman? He goes, no. I said, no, they had a song or two. Anyway, they was playing in this bar. I goes, we got to go in there, man. This is a good group. And it was just this little bar. Anyway, we came back, or we left. It was coming up later that evening. So anyway, we was going back in, and we was ready to go into the bar because that's when they was starting to play. And so, or maybe it was they was just starting to play then. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, this guy said, hey, He goes, you. And I looked over, and it's freaking. Of course, I didn't know at the time because I didn't know. He goes, what are you doing? I said, we're going in here to listen to this band. He goes, you don't want to come with me? And I was like, no, I'm going in to listen to a band. He said, yeah, you come on, man, let's come with me. And I was like, dude, no, I don't know you. I'm gonna go in this bar, listen to this band. And so he had some kid with him. I don't know what kid. He's just a shorter person. He looked, I don't know what nationality he was. But I said, no. We went and listened to the band. There was some warm-up band, man. They were great. But anyway, that was freaking Jeffrey Dahmer I met up there. And I realized all this stuff because I got some CD back in the 90s or something like that of the serial killers over the years. And I looked through them and I started realizing, man, I met this. And so I started going through all this. I don't know, it was like a Arnold Schwarzenegger, a Total Recall on all these people that I'd met. I was like, wow, I met all these freaking guys were serial killers. And so I went through all that stuff and remembering all these people that were serial killers. I was like, gee, Merry Christmas. I can't believe I mean, why did I run into all these people that were serial killers? It was like, this is crazy. Anyway, that's all I can think of now. If I remember another, I'll tell you a story. You believe it or not, apparently nobody believes it because it's one of those wild lives. I'm not a wild person, but it's kind of wild that I'd met this many serial killers without trying to meet them. It's not like I'm a fan of them. I might try to solve stuff. I'm not an investigator, not a cop or a criminal fan. I just, just something you do when you don't have anything else to think about, and it comes across and you got a bunch of ideas of what could have happened or how it could have happened. So anyway, all I can think of now. So later.